Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Reach. Oh man, I've got too many hats to wear. Welcome to Jam and Java. That is, I don't know, some kind of a slip, not Freudian, I don't think. But my name is Robbie Robinson, and tonight, if you're new to Jam and Java, where have you been? I guess, and it's going to be a fun night. So I was starting to say, welcome to Reach Out with Ray and Steve. And the reason I was accidentally saying that was the fact that on Mondays, 4 o'clock California time, 7 o'clock New York time, I do a show for a 1 hour show called Reach Out with Ray and Steve, where I'm the music director and co-host. And we have a lot of fun. It's kind of focused in three directions. Community outreach. They're coming out of the Bronx. Ray Negron is one of the hosts. He's been a dear friend of mine for a long time, and he's been with the New York Yankees since 1973. So we do reach out to the community. Then there are baseball, a lot of sports, but mainly baseball. A lot of baseball players. We have a baseball player on usually every week. And then entertainment, music and entertainment. And today, our guest on Reach Out with Ray and Steve was Lenny Randle, who was he played MLB for a long time and a really great player, the most interesting baseball player ever, they say. He was just full of all kinds of energy, and one of he was best known for, if you've probably seen the baseball clip where there's a baseball rolling down the foul line towards third base, and he gets down on his hands and knees and he blows it foul. Very cool. But the other guest we had was Felix Cavalieri from the Rascals. So for this Hammond organ player, you can see the Hammond logo here. I'm a Hammond artist, and I love Hammond organ. Two of my biggest heroes of all are Mark Stein and Felix Cavalieri. And I'm doing two shows today, one day, two shows with two of my heroes. So this is going to be a lot of fun for me tonight. And so I think without further ado, we should bring on our resident chaplain to lead us in a word of prayer to open things up. And then I'll be back and we'll have some fun. So Pastor Chuck, take it away with an opening prayer, if you would, please.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well this evening. Yesterday's gospel lesson was from Mark 9. It's where James and John come up to Jesus and they tell him that they want him to do something for them. You know, kind of like, I want you to do me a favor, but I'm not going to tell you what it is until after you said you'll do it. What it turns out to be is that both of them want for Jesus to name them, one to his right and one to his left, when he comes into their power. And Jesus asks them some pretty pointed questions about whether they can drink the cup that he drinks from and be baptized with his baptism. And they go, oh, sure we can. But I got to thinking about this. And you know, the disciples wanting privilege over each other. They were always arguing who's the greatest among them. And that's just like us. You know, think about sports in our country, for example. We're in the start of March Madness in college basketball. The NBA is in its second season. The hockey is going to start soon. The NFL draft is at the end of April, and on and on and on. And also that at the end of the season, whatever sport it is, somebody can claim we're number one. We dominate. We're better than everybody else. Jesus said, if you want to be great, you must be the servant of all. And that's completely contrary to our way of thinking and the way we live. It's contrary to the philosophy in our lives. We want preeminence. We want whatever is to our advantage, and it doesn't matter if it's not to somebody else's advantage. If it's to our advantage, that's good. If it's not to their advantage, that's their problem. One of the interesting things in that story in Mark is the reaction of the other disciples after they found out about it. We're told, Mark tells us that they were indignant with James and John. Well, no wonder. After all, James and John thought about it, or at least had the nerve to bring it up to Jesus before they did. And so, what Jesus did at that point was to call them together and tell them that they must follow his example, that we must pick up our cross daily and follow him. Doesn't matter what somebody else is doing. Our job is to pick up our cross and follow him. And that isn't easy, because our human nature always gets in the way. And there's so many ways in which we fail. But the good news of the gospel is that through his blood and righteousness, we have been won by Jesus, and we have his grace and his mercy, and we are forgiven every day, and he starts us over every day. Let's pray. Father, forgive our weaknesses. Renew our faith and our trust every day, that we may know your love, but also show it to others. All of us have people we love, people we are concerned about, people who are suffering from sickness or life's complications. Hear our cries on their behalf, Father. Bless Robbie and the program tonight. May it reflect your love and your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, Robbie, take it away.
Hey, Pastor. Thanks so much, Pastor Chuck. Well, let's take a look who's watching for starters here. You know what? Dorothy Flores, who is my neighbor, and she's been my neighbor. She is, if you see the wall that's right behind me, the wooden wall right behind me with the keyboards against it, right on the other side of that wall is Dorothy Flores and her house. And we've been neighbors for over 40 years, if you can believe it. My brother Scott is watching from Columbus. Mart Avant, the Tuscaloosa Horns, great trumpet player, and he's a great band leader. We've worked together on many Frankie Valli concerts. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but he plays all over the South. Hey, Mart. Hey, hang in tonight. It's going to be a fun show, especially for musicians. Melinda Marie Matthews Chase is watching. Good. Lucy McDougall. Hey, Lucy. From, I think you guys, I forget where you guys moved to. Somewhere in the South. And, of course, my wife, Carla, is on the couch in the living room watching. So, all right. Well, you know what? I usually like to, before we kind of get into the primary theme, Linda Laird from Litchfield. Hey, we've got to talk about Litchfield tonight a little bit. I've got some pretty cool news about what's going to be happening in Litchfield in the beginning of May. Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining us. So we've got Litchfield is in the house. Gary Swan, my brother Gary, Hammond brother. It's always great to have my friend Gary. Gary is a great Hammond artist and a great musician and a great friend, and it's like my brother from another mother. Yeah, I know you're going to dig this. So let's see. I usually like to start with something from church. I'm the minister of music at Trinity Lutheran Church here in Simi Valley, California. Our services are at 9 a.m. Sunday morning, California time, and they're streamed live on YouTube and on Facebook. And we're heading down the road to Palm Sunday next Sunday, and then the following Sunday, of course, is Easter, and that will be Holy Week. And so, busy time with music, that's for sure. So this is a song from our church service this past Sunday, and or maybe this was 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure. But this is a song called Jesus, and I'm using that new Hammond SK Pro on this. So check it out for you Hammond peeps from Trinity Lutheran Church. Jesus.
is a truth older than the ages. There is a promise of things yet to come. There is a one born for our salvation, Jesus. There's a light that overwhelms the darkness. There's a kingdom that forever reigns. There is freedom from the chains that bind us. Jesus, Jesus, who walks on the waters, who speaks to the sea, who stands in the fire beside me. He roars like a lion, he bled as a lamb, he carries my healing in his hands. Jesus, oh, Jesus. There is a name I call in times of trouble. There is a song that comes in the night. There is a voice that calms the storm that rages. Jesus, oh yes, Lord. Jesus, who walks on the water, who speaks to the sea, who stands in the fire beside me. He roars like a lion, he bled as a lamb, he carries my healing in his hands. Oh, Jesus, hey, yes, Lord, Jesus. Lord, you walk on the water, you speak to the sea, you stand in the fire beside me. You roar like a lion, you bleed as a lamb, you carry my healing in your hands. Jesus, oh, Jesus, oh, Jesus, Jesus.
Jesus. By the way, that's the singers on that. That's my friend Eddie Hedges. By the way, happy birthday, brother Eddie. Yesterday was his birthday, or the day before. Yesterday, I think. And Eddie Hedges and Andrea Hammond, and they're part of our regular praise team at church there. And the keyboard I was doing there was interestingly enough, it was all the sounds were coming from that brand new Hammond organ SK Pro thing, and except for the drums. The drums were programmed drums that I did here on my computer. It doesn't have drums on it, but it's got everything else. So who else is watching? David Bernard is watching. Hey, David. Debbie Warner is watching. Hey there, Jefferson Rodriguez. I've seen him watching a bunch these days. Jan Roper Niehaus from Litchfield. I'm going to tell you, I've got that news about Litchfield. Well, we'll save that for a little bit. All right, so getting into Mark Stein. Mark Stein. So if you were here last week, it was Mark Stein night from the band Vanilla Fudge. Mark Stein is the singer, the Hammond organ player for Vanilla Fudge, and one of my big heroes. And it's so cool for me to get a chance to spend some time with him, get to know him a little better through all this stuff. And I've got a little promo clip. I think we'll start with that. So if you don't know Mark Stein, this might give you a little bit of an insight, a little bit of an introduction to him. And here, I'm just going to roll this promo clip. Check it out.
Our next guests are a legendary rock and roll band who are still as heavy as ever, performing the classic "You Keep Me Hanging On." Please welcome Vanilla Fudge!
Set me free, why don't you, babe? Get out of my life, why don't you, babe? You really don't want me. You just keep me hanging on. You really don't need me. You just keep me hanging on. You said when we broke up, you just wanted to be friends. But how can we still be friends? Till you only break my heart again. There ain't nothing I can do about it.
Vanilla Fudge!
Ladies and gentlemen, I am so honored. I am so privileged. This is a super exciting night for me because this next gentleman that I'm going to introduce to you is definitely one of my all-time heroes. Amazing musician, amazing singer, amazing arranger, and Hammond organ extraordinaire. With no further ado, let's bring him on, Mr. Mark STEIN. Welcome to Jammin' Java, Mark STEIN.
Yeah, hey, Robbie, it's really great. I really appreciate you having me, man. And hi to everybody. And it looks like we might be getting close to the end of this pandemic, hopefully in another 3-4 months. And, we're just hoping before you know it, the new normal will be close to the normal, than they say. So hopefully we'll be out there rocking and, touching and feeling the emotion of the people again.
You and I mean, I've talked to, of course, a bunch of our musician friends and stuff who have been used to touring. You, like me, and like so many of our colleagues and brothers and sisters out there, have been touring for, well, half a century. And then all of a sudden it's over, brother.
Over. Yeah, it's over. But it's just a pause.
Yeah, it is a pause. Yeah, thank you.
I think the Lord maybe did this to see if we're really serious. I don't know.
Well, he's got a sense of humor, that's for sure. I've got to get this off my chest at the beginning of this whole thing. So, all right. I stopped that clip because, and basically what I've done is last Sunday, a week ago yesterday, I taped a bunch of interview clips with Mark that we showed last Monday. And then, of course, we didn't have enough time to show them all, so I've got a lot more stuff. So we've got some clips, I've got some performance clips and all that kind of stuff. And I just wanted to stop that there because we went into something else. Let's go back. Hey, my sister Babs is watching. Hey, Babs, you're up late for you. It's not almost 9:30 there, 9:24 in Illinois. Babs lives in near Litchfield. She works in Litchfield. So, Keep Me Hanging On was Vanilla Fudge's on their first album. You heard them play that. It was on Jimmy Kimmel, the one that we just rolled. Let's go back to 1967. Now, keep in mind that this is 50 years ago, 54 years ago. You just heard Mark killing it, singing that same song in the same key and all that kind of stuff. This is a show. It was a German show called Beat Club, 1967. This is the original four guys: Mark Stein, Carmen Appice, Tim Bogert, and Vinnie Martell, and they are doing their big hit, "You Keep Me Hanging On," and it goes like this. So, Mark, that was an amazing run with "You Keep Me Hanging On." Right out of the box, you guys have a smash. What do you remember about recording "You Keep Me Hanging On"?
That classic version, the long version, the 7-minute version, we recorded at a studio in New York City, Mirror Sound, and it was one take in mono. That's how tight the band was from playing our whole show at all these clubs around the New York metropolitan area in New England. So that was one take, okay?
That's off the charts.
It is off the charts, isn't it? It's amazing.
That's fantastic.
But the thing is, you said it was a hit right out of the box. Fact is, it really wasn't as a single. When they put the edited version, which is about just under 3 minutes, when they put that out, it went up to about number 87 or something, and it fell off the charts, okay? And we're out in... like I mentioned before, touring out on the West Coast with the Mamas and the Papas and Moby Grape and Sonny and Cher and the Fifth Dimension. This is what we were doing back then. And we saw the single fall off, and we figured, you know, we were young, and I don't know, man, maybe it's going to be a quick career, you know. And then all of a sudden, the album started taking off like crazy. The album was just selling from all the airplay, and you know, it was actually the first album to ever hit the top 10 in Billboard without a hit single, because "You Keep Me Hanging On," the single, about 15 months later, was re-released. I remember a promotion man, we were doing a promo show in Florida, I recall, and one of the promo guys from Atco Atlantic said, "We're going to re-release it because we think the first time it was ahead of its time." So sure enough, when they re-released that same edited version, you know, I mean, before you knew it, it went to the top #1 spot in most playlists in the world, and the album was already in the top 10, and here not a single is pumping. And I mean, we were like, it's pretty amazing in retrospect. We were voted the #1 American vocal group in 1968. Okay, so we were hot stuff. I mean, you know, we had like 3 albums in the top 50, I think, simultaneously. So that's pretty awesome.
And you were the darlings of FM radio, too, and that's when FM stations were really starting to take hold, and the musicians, you know, me being an aspiring musician at that time, and everybody I know, we loved Vanilla Fudge. As a matter of fact, 1968, one of the pivotal moments in my personal musical career was going to hear you guys at a college in Lebanon, Illinois, McKendree College, and I can remember it just like it was yesterday. And a gang of us were all sitting on the floor right in front of the stage, and it was a gymnasium, and you guys were playing up on a stage, and you guys rocked the house. I mean, it was amazing.
It's pretty cool, like playing in gymnasiums, right? Yeah. I mean, the worst acoustics for rock band.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the bass drum and the drums and the guitar blasts off the back of the gymnasium from the sides, and you know, we didn't even have monitors in those days.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when they called the Fudge pioneers, I have to agree, because we didn't have those fantastic things called monitors that came out last year, so you could really hear the balance of the band. So we just kind of winged it, and you heard the music through the house. You know, glad you enjoyed the show.
I loved it. I mean, it was more than enjoyment. It was like a pivotal moment in my musical career, no question about it.
Amazing. Thank you.
And that was, I remember, McKendree College in Lebanon, Illinois. It's a little small town in Illinois, not too far from Litchfield. Litchfield. Let's bring up Litchfield a minute. Janice Peterson from See Me is watching. Hi, Janice. Pam Weiss from Litchfield. Love that song. Great to have these memories revisited. Thanks. Bert Lansden. Thanks for watching. And Karen Switzler is watching. Jefferson Rodriguez, I mentioned. Pete Lausches from Litchfield, a musician from Montalive, which is 8 miles from Litchfield. So here's the deal, Litchfield. You know, I have Carl and I are both from Litchfield, Illinois. It's a small town, about 7,000 people, about an hour north of St. Louis. And on May the 4th, Carl and I are going to be in Litchfield just for a quick visit. I'm going to visit my mom, and we're going to visit some family, but it's going to be a Monday night, May 4th, and so we are going to do Jammin' Java from the Litchfield Museum. So we're going to have a lot of fun there at the Litchfield Museum, and we'll talk about Litchfield, and we'll show you some Litchfield memorabilia, and I don't know what else musical kind of theme we're going to have, but who knows? I hope some Litchfield people will turn out that evening at the Litchfield Museum, and I think John Michael Marty from the radio station is going to help us out with some stuff, so that should be fun. So May the 4th, coming to you live from Litchfield, from the Litchfield Museum. Litchfield Museum and Route 66 Museum. It's right on historic Route 66. So, all right, so that's some more, Mark. Let's play. Okay, we're going to move to more recent times. Mark Stein. Of course, one of the other amazing, great organ players, keyboard players in the rock genre is Keith Emerson. Was Keith Emerson, who's no longer with us. It's so sad to say. Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Carl Palmer was the drummer, and they had some amazing... I have to sneeze. You have to just... Oh, excuse me. Thank you. And so Carl Palmer was the drummer. They had some fantastic songs, some really, really hard songs, too, I'll tell you the truth. But... let's see here. Here. What do we have here? I forgot about this stuff. Yeah. Linda Laird from Litchfield. What does she say? She says, I'll be there in Litchfield. All that. It's going to be fun. So we're going to have to make that a big, neat, fun Litchfield event. Oh, and Pete Lauscha says, amazing that song was recorded in one take. It is amazing. I mean, think about that. They did it on one track, too. Now we have 12 zillion tracks to record on. They did it one take, the whole band, on one track. 7 minutes long, too. Pretty amazing. Here, I have some kind of fun pictures here. I'm gonna kind of pop up here a second. There's Mark behind his B3, one of the pioneers of the B3. Here's the Hammond Summit. I showed this last week. Gary Swan is in there, right there, with the glasses on your right-hand side, next to Jim Alfredson, and right in front of Gary Swan is Mark Stein there. I'm next to Dr. Lonnie Smith, who one of these days we have to get Dr. Lonnie on this show, no question about it. Let's see here. We'll turn this off. Here's some more from that thing. That's Mark and I and Peter Gallinari, another Hammond artist. What's this? This was done at that same thing. There's Mark and I and Jim Peterick, and he was on Jammin' Java a few weeks ago. He is the guy who wrote and sang the song Vehicle for the group Ides of March. He was 14 years old when he started that group. He also wrote the song for Survivor. Well, he was Survivor, but their song was The Eye of the Tiger. And he was on a few weeks ago. By the way, any of the Jammin' Java shows, you can go watch, you can go back and watch on Facebook at Jammin' Java, the Facebook page, or you can watch on YouTube, on the Jammin' Java YouTube. Mark mentioned, by the way, the Fifth Dimension. There's Mark with Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis. And let's see what else we have here. All right, well, okay, so I was talking about I was talking about Emerson, Lake and Palmer before I got sidetracked here. So, since Emerson is no longer, Keith Emerson is not with us any longer, sad to say. But one of the Carl Palmer called Mark to come in and do a concert with him, doing some Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And here's a clip from that concert. This is Carl Palmer, Mark STEIN. I don't know the other musicians, but playing Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And Mark is not only playing the Keith Emerson stuff in his own style, of course, he's also singing the Greg Lake stuff. So he's like, it's crazy how good this guy is. So here it is. This is Stein and Palmer.
From the flight of the sea
Keith. God bless Keith. Hey. Yeah. What a great artist. What a great artist. Hey. Oh.
Wow. 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 Not easy to just come in. It's not like a band that's been on the road for years and years and they've really dialed in on everything. Mark sitting in, singing that, and playing that. I mean, bravo, Mark Stein. That's all I can say. Amazing. So as I said earlier, and I'm not sure the dancer scenario. I don't know what to think about the dancers that they had in there. I don't know whose idea that was, whose creative juices were flowing with that one, but didn't float my boat. But there you have it. So I mentioned that. Well, I do this show called Reach Out with Ray and Steve, and it's 7 o'clock New York time, 4 o'clock California time for 1 hour long, and we have community outreach. They're coming from the Bronx. I'm coming from here. And today, our guest was my hero from the Rascals, Felix Cavalieri. So, I mean, how cool is this for a Hammond organ guy? And one of the things that we play... Well, here, let me see. Do I have a... I think I have a reach out flyer here. Let me just show you what this is about here. Oops, that's not the right one. This one. Okay, so there's the Reach Out show. Lenny Randall. Sarah Nimitz she's on it periodically. Of course, Ray Negron and Steve Vaccaro are the hosts. And I'm the music director and co-host, Felix Cavalieri, Tuesdays. And it also goes on BronxNet, which goes out to potentially 300,000 people in the Bronx, which is way cool. You can watch that on YouTube or Facebook as well on Mondays if you want to get a double dose of my madness. And so, as I said, who else? So, do I have some more clips of that? Let me see here. Well, I want to show you a clip of kind of vamping a little bit here. So we did some of the Hammond brothers did a little bit of shout out to Felix Cavalieri. Now, Felix inspired me. He inspired Mark. Mark and Felix inspired me. So it's interesting how that Hammond thing has flown. But so check this out. This is some of the Hammond brothers getting together and saying, "Thank you, Felix." I've told you this, and I tell everybody this, and our Jammin' Java audience who follows me knows this. I have 3 superheroes on my Mount Rushmore of Hammond organ players who have inspired me personally. One is Jimmy Smith.
Oh, yeah.
The other is Felix Cavalieri. And the other is Mark Stein. You 3 guys have been the biggest influence on me as a Hammond organ player. Thank you, thank you, thank you for that, brother.
Well, thank you for bringing it up, because those first 2 guys were the biggest Hammond organ influences on me. Jimmy Smith with the jazz funk, incredible taste and chops and speed. And then when it comes to rock, Felix Cavalieri, you know, the cat that I saw when I was maybe 18 years old, playing with a band called the Rascals, you know, in New York City. And I was completely blown away with the sound and the look of that fantastic instrument. And I used to go and just sit underneath that Hammond and watch him sing, and you know, he's such a soulful singer, and the way he played. And you know, after that, man, I just said, "Dad, you got to help me get this thing called the Hammond B3 organ."
I took a few minutes and reached out to a few of my Hammond brothers and asked them just what kind of influence, what kind of impact that Felix Cavalieri had on their playing, on their career, on their music. I got some neat responses, so check some of these out.
Howard Larrabee here, Hammond brother and keyboard player for Three Dog Night. I want to send a shout out to one of my heroes, Felix Cavalieri, and just say thank you, Felix, for all the influence and the soul and the good vibes that you've brought to me and so many other people, but musicians too in particular. Much respect, brother. People got to be free.
Hi, Scott May from Chicago's Ides of March here, and we're talking about Felix Cavalieri today. One of the first bands that really drove me out of my mind because I'm a Hammond organ player was the Rascals. The Rascals in general, and Felix in particular. The band was just great, but Felix, oh boy, Felix was the man. Kicking pedals, making the Hammond go crazy. I also like the Vanilla Fudge. So, just want to say thank you for a lifetime of great music. Felix Cavalieri, one of the absolute kings of the Hammond organ. Rock on.
Hi everybody, Ricky Peterson here with a shout out to all the great Hammond players, especially today. Felix Cavalieri, who is one of our favorite players on the planet, with his soulfulness and the full sound that he always had, the rock and roll that he played, and especially his voice, man. His voice was one of my favorites growing up, and we all emulate you, man, and we love you. And Felix, man, you're a bad boy. We love you. Thanks. Bye.
Hey Robbie, it's Tim Bonham from the Beach Boys. I heard that you're having Felix Cavalieri coming out, which is one of the classics of all time. One of his solos is, rock classic. I appreciate the rock influence that Felix has had on rock and roll music, and have fun, man. And guess what? The solo's coming up right now. Woo! That's it. Woo!
Ooh, that is the classic Hammond organ solo. Bam, boo, dee, da, 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 da. This is not turned on, or I can play it. All right, and so that was just a little clip of kind of shout outs to Felix. And here was the show. Here, where did I just see this clip? Here, check this out. Is this the one? Yeah. So this is today, Monday, March 22nd, my Hammond Hero Day, with Mark Stein and Felix Cavalieri. One day, two shows, two Hammond legends. How fun is that? So then here was Felix' response to that little tribute, and I said, "Hey, say you got something to say to Mark tonight." So Felix sent this back to Mark tonight. It goes like this.
Hey, Mark, Felix here, man. I got to tell you, thank you so much for those kind words. They are heartfelt, man, and I hope you're well. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see anybody soon.
So that was a lot of fun. Let's do another clip of here. Let me see here. I have something. So Felix, Mark was telling me that he did a version. Well, he sent me this track. There's no clips to here, what, Melinda. Here, check this out, what she's saying here. I also saw you back in the day, I think it was at the Long Beach, about the Mark Stein gives such homage to Keith Emerson in that performance with Carl Palmer. Yeah, he really does. Just amazing. And this is Mark Stein's little homage to Felix Cavalieri from the Rascals. Now, they had so many unbelievable songs. Of course, one of the great songs that Felix wrote, was called People Gotta Be Free. And here's a version by Mark Stein. Let me see if I can just play this and maybe put up some pictures against it. Just a track. Let's see if I'm not sure how this works, to tell you the truth. We'll find out. I'll turn this off, and it goes like this, I think.
Whole world over, so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free. Listen, please, listen, that's the way it should be. Peace in the valley, people got to be
I've really, really enjoyed this. So many amazing stories in this book of yours. You keep me hanging on.
There it is.
There are some great stories here, and talk about you and touring with Hendrix, with touring with Led Zeppelin, The Doors, on and on. So what's one of the cool memories that you have from those days of touring with some of those guys? How about Hendrix? Tell me about Hendrix. What was he like?
Well, Hendrix was a really mellow dude, you know, and he, you know, we got on great. We used to hang out in the dressing room, and you know, it's funny. We got along really well, and not only with Jimmy, but you know, Noel Redding was a good friend of mine too, the bass player, and you know, great drummer Mitch Missel. Sad to say that, you know, for a number of years that they've all been long gone. But I can tell you one great memory that's come to mind. When we were on tour with Hendrix in '68, we were opening, and it was an amazing. It was like a circus on the road with Hendrix and the Fudge and the Soft Machine and Heir Apparent. That was the lineup. So one night I was hanging out with Mitch and Noel. I remember it was in Phoenix, and we were hanging out in the hotel room in the wee hours of the morning, and Jimmy comes walking in. You know, when he had a record player, one of those old web cores, I guess, with the speakers on the left and the right that used to.
Oh yeah, sure.
And he had the acetates of Electric Ladyland.
Wow.
You know, it wasn't even pressed yet.
Wow.
So here we are listening to Electric Ladyland for the first time, panning from left to right, you know, around the room with that record player he had, and it was just the moment was incredible. And in retrospect, to know that I heard that record before it was even pressed, before anybody in the world, except you know, the band and a couple of record, you know, promo people heard it, is it's pretty crazy, right?
And that's unbelievable.
The same thing happened with Jimmy Page and Robert Plant. We were on tour with Zeppelin. We were sharing the bill. It was in sometime in '68, later in '68, when just before A Whole Lot of Love came out, and that Led Zeppelin 2. It was the same kind of story, because Jimmy Page and Robert were hanging out in the room, and it was the same thing. They had a record player, and they played Led Zeppelin 2 for us.
Wow.
So, I was around for some of these seminal moments, dude. The guy ought to write a book, right?
Well, you did. This book is amazing. I couldn't put it down. Once I started reading it, I couldn't stop.
I appreciate it. It's gotten some pretty cool reviews out there over the years.
So how do people buy this book if they want to buy this book?
Well, you could simply go to mark-stein.com. You keep me hanging on, the raging story of rock music's golden age, and you could just order it online. And if you do that, it'll be signed and numbered. Or you can order it from Amazon. So
they can get it either on Amazon, like you said, but it's better to go to your website.
Oh yeah, because you get I sign the books.
Yeah.
They're shipped right out and they're numbered.
Can you hear me now? There you go. Oops. Have my microphone muted. Thanks for letting me know here. Okay. So there is the. Let's see where the Mark Stein. Here we go. Book. So there's the book. You keep me hanging on. Do I have it around here? I'm not sure where I put it. Great book. I cannot recommend it enough. It's really, really cool. I couldn't put it down. I read it cover to cover. And so definitely a cool thing. So Mark has had a variety of really neat experiences in this music business. And boy, so many of them in that book. Like that story he said about in the dressing room, Jimi Hendrix playing them Electric Ladyland on an acetate before it was even released. How cool is that? So here's another experience. Well, actually, we'll set it up. We'll let Mark set this up. So check this out. By the way, you not only have your Vanilla Fudge history, but you also touring with other groups, such as Dave Mason, right?
You know, David, I'll tell you, one of the most fun times I had in this business was playing with Dave Mason and his band, you know.
Wow.
He's a very unique guy, an incredibly talented man.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I did a tour with Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. I did the Southern Hemisphere tour in Australia and New Zealand. And when I got back, and Dave Mason had a big hit with We Just Disagree on the radio, or everybody remembers that.
Yeah, I remember it.
He was at the top of his game, and it just so happened that he was looking for a keyboard player. So, you know, when Jason told David about me, he said, yeah, I was a fan of Vanilla Fudge. Have Mark come down to the record plant, the studio in LA. So I did one night, and we hit it off great. And, you know, he said, well, why don't you go in and, you know, there was a Hammond in there, and he put up some of these tracks. It was an album that eventually was called Mariposa de Oro, which means butterfly of gold. So I went in and I started playing some Hammond on it, and he really dug it. And that was the beginning of our relationship. So before you knew it, I was playing on Dave's album. He invited me over to his house. It was this incredible villa in Malibu Hills, right next to Jenner, and it was amazing, man. It was just a fabulous place. It was called Mariposa de Oro. That was the name of his beautiful home.
Wow.
You know, we would set up rehearsals in this amazing, huge living room with a 9-foot Steinway Grand and this incredible, the biggest JBL sound system you ever heard. And it was just a fabulous place. And, you know, the likes of Farrah Fawcett and Ryan O'Neal and Dan Haggerty and, you know, Stephen Stills and that whole LA crowd used to hang out all the time over there with us. So there was nothing but music and great times. And, you know, we would just rehearse, and the radio was filled with Dave Mason music, and he'd have this awesome private plane, cut out the whole middle and became a big living room. So we would tour on our own private plane, and it was just great because you know, we used to land at municipal airports, and you didn't have to be at a certain time, you know, at the airport to make a flight. So that was a pretty crazy rock and roll life, but it was really awesome. And we played a gazillion shows, the whole college circuit. We went to Japan. We played the whole country of Japan. We were over there for a month.
Wow.
We played every town there was. And, you know, I mean, I remember playing the Universal Amphitheater, sold out 5 nights, and this new cat by the name of Eddie Money was the opening artist, you know.
One of the things I heard you guys do was an amazing track called Save Me, and you had a guest singer you did a duet with. You want to tell the audience about that one?
Yeah, man, it was we were doing an album called Old Crest on a New Wave. I guess in 1980. So we were in the studio called Hollywood Sound in LA. And I was taking a break, and the Jacksons were down the hall in another studio, you know, and I see Michael Jackson hanging out, you know, with his back up against the candy machine or the soda machine, whatever it was, you know. And Off the Wall was like a big multi-platinum record at the time. It was just before Thriller. So we had a track called Save Me that had the same kind of grooves as R&B grooves that was on Off the Wall. I introduced myself to Michael. I said, dude, why don't you come in and hear this track we're working on? I think you're really going to dig it, you know? So lo and behold, Michael comes with me. We go into the studio. I have the engineer put the track up, and he's loving it, man. He's dancing and snapping his fingers and yada, yada, you know what I'm saying? I said, Michael, why don't you go out? There's a live mic right out there, man. Why don't you go out and scat, man? Scat on the track with me and Dave, you know? So he goes out, puts the earphones on, and in one take, it was like a magical moment, you know? I'm looking at the engineer, and I'm saying, can you believe what's going on here? That's Michael Jackson, man. And he's on our track, you know? And it was just fantastic. What a night. So he comes in, I thanked him. He ran back to his session. I had a cassette made, and then Jimmy Krieger, God rest his soul, he had wrote the song. Save Me. And I woke him up at 4 o'clock in the morning, me and Patty banging on his door. he opens up the door. What, man? What's going on? I said, you got to hear this, man. Michael Jackson just sang on your song with us. It was a pretty amazing moment. So there you go.
Let's play it for the audience. Here it goes.
Cool.
She's not a star, but she'll go far. And so she's telling all her friends she's only young and just begun to see clearly. In her eyes, nothing turned out like she thought it would. And I was waiting right there where she stood. She said, save me from this wicked world I'm living in. She said, save me. I don't want to lose, I want to win. I can't run, I can't hide. I can't run, I can't hide. She said, save me. Save me, girl. She said, save me. All on her own, she's on the phone, so sincerely, making a joke. There's no reply, she wonders why, and pays the rent. One more time, everybody's out there on the take. And I was there when she began to break. She said, save me from this wicked world I'm living in. She said, save me. I don't want to lose, I want to win. I can't run and I can't hide. I can't run and I can't hide. She said, save me. She said, save me. Everybody's out there on the take. And I was there when she began to break. She said, save me from this wicked world I'm living in. She said, save me. I don't want to lose, I want to win. I can't run and I can't hide. I can't run and I can't hide. She said, save me. She said, save me. Save me, girl. Save me, girl. Save my soul. Save me, girl. Save my soul. Save me, girl. Save my soul, baby. Save me, girl. Where I go. Save me, girl. Save my soul. You can run. You can hide. You know, baby. Save my soul. Save my soul. Save my soul.
Pretty cool stuff, huh? Yeah, so Mark Stein and Dave Mason and Michael Jackson. That makes a pretty good singing trio, I think. No question about it. So let's go to let's see. Do we have more clips? Yeah, let's go to some more clips of the interview stuff here. This is Mark and I talking about different opening acts and the whole idea about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I believe they should be in big time. Goes like this. Have you kept in touch with Alice Cooper at all through the years? Because he's been out to a few Frankie Valli shows, actually, when we play in Phoenix.
Alice is a great guy. Actually, Alice opened for Vanilla Fudge before he was famous.
Is that right?
Yeah, how do you like that? Yeah. A lot of bands open for Fudge.
I think you had Frank Zappa open for you guys, didn't you?
Yeah, Zappa and the Mothers opened for us a number of shows back then.
Wow.
Three Dog Night opened for us before they became famous. And
of course, one of the biggest is Led Zeppelin. Tell us about Led Zeppelin opening for you guys.
well, Jimmy Page left the Yardbirds in 1968 in England, and he came to America with three unknowns by the name of Robert Plant, John Bonham, and John Paul Jones. You know, and Page was a big session player and was getting fame with the Yardbirds, and John Paul Jones was a very popular session bass player.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, Page, came here with those guys and formed this band, and they called it Led Zeppelin, and we were label mates. And they did their first album, and first time they played was I think it was December 26th in 1968 in Denver, Colorado, and we were headlining with Janis Joplin was on the show, and a band called Spirit was on the show.
Oh yeah, I remember Spirit, sure.
A new band called Led Zeppelin, and they were just incredibly rough around the edges. They were just starting out. They were just a couple of kids, really. And boy, that band they really got their rock and roll legs together really fast. I mean, they did a couple of tours with the Fudge. The first tour was, they were getting it together. And by the second tour, they were getting to be quite amazing. And, I saw the dawn of a band that became the biggest rock juggernaut of all time. And,
there is a petition out to get Vanilla Fudge into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I thoroughly endorse. You guys you influenced so many musicians, so many groups, so many great groups. I mean, you were like prog rock before it was prog rock.
Well, history says that the Vanilla Fudge influenced bands, like Uriah Heep, bands like Deep Purple, who at one time in the beginning were called the English Vanilla Fudge, because they used to come and see the Fudge in England in '67 on their first tour. Bands like Styx. I mean, it just goes on and on, but
Sure does. A big part of that too is your Hammond organ playing. Of course, you're singing, but also you're arranging your ideas, your visions, for a different way to look at music.
Well, when I started playing the Hammond organ at a B3, which is a monster of the ages, and to me it was my orchestra.
Yeah.
So I used to just love getting effects and sounds out of it, I mean, my chops weren't really developed at that time, but I was just coming up with all of these dynamics and all these percussive sounds and these just this different approach, I guess. That's what they tell me. But and the chops came a little later. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it just filled up the room. It filled up the stage. It filled up the venues.
Well, I would vouch that your chops are amazing now, because I've seen you perform. Your singing chops are great, and your playing chops are off the charts. Great.
Well, I appreciate that. It's because of guys like that followed me, like John Lord, and of course the greatest Keith Emerson,
right?
Brian Auger, and so many great players.
Well, we need to get you guys. We need to get Vanilla Fudge. You should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Absolutely. You were probably more famous with the musicians than you were with the general public, too.
Right. That's a good point. Emerson, Lake, and Palmer, the greatest organ power progressive rock trio of the 1970s, are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I didn't know that. Yeah, see, that's wrong.
What can I tell you?
We need to get that petition going around and get it signed and get it to the powers that be.
Sing it, boy. Happy youngos whose chances grow thinner, 'cause there's hope among the kingdom throne. You just thank the Lord.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite songs of all time, People Get Ready by Curtis Mayfield. And they have their own unique interpretation of that song. Great, great arrangement. They were known for taking cover songs and dramatically changing the style of the song. And as they did with You Keep Me Hanging On, they did that one. I think that was off their first album, too. Of course, that's a recent version of it, but live, it's a four-piece band. You know, they're rocking and rolling. And here's another one of their great cover songs was Shotgun, the old Junior Walker and the All-Stars. And they had their own pretty rock and roll version of that. And this is back in 1969 on that German show at the Beat Club called Shotgun. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Okay. They're definitely a musician's band, I'll tell you that. And if you notice, they give 150% in every note that they play. No doubt about it. They were rocking, they were rolling on that, that's for sure. Um, so back in, let's see, what year was this? They won this big award, and Mark talked about it here. And then he's going to set up the clip, and then we'll play it for you. And it's called the Golden Gondola Award. And, well, here it is.
In 1969, Vanilla Fudge played at the International Music Festival in Venice, Italy, okay?
Wow.
And we played our version and arrangement of Some Velvet Morning.
Oh, yeah.
We were seen by over 40 million people all over the world, everywhere around the world except America. And Vanilla Fudge was the very first Americans to win the Golden Gondola at the International Music Festival in Italy. So I'm very proud of that, and I think the world should know about that. So we brought that Golden Gondola back to America, and that's the way it was.
Awesome, brother. Awesome. By the way, here, check this out. Remember that?
I do remember that. How could I forget that? Look at that marquee. Duke Ellington, are you kidding me? Buddy Greco, Tammy Grimes, Flip Wilson. I'll tell you a story about Flip Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, I was, we just finished doing the show live. And it was a pretty amazing moment.
Uh-huh.
And I was like so beyond excited. There was a payphone on the wall just to the side of the stage. And I picked it up and I put my change in, and or maybe it was free to the artists. But I called my mom and dad over in Bayonne, New Jersey. You know, I wanted to, see what they thought of the show and everything, you know. And Flip Wilson comes over to my side and he's patting me on the back and said, "What a nice kid, man. Look at this, calling his mom and dad right after the Sullivan show. What a cool kid." I remember that. I remember the smile on Flip's face. So,
wow.
Nice moment.
That's super cool. You said earlier your dad was upset about you moving into rock and roll. That must have really helped to ease all that, huh?
Well, what eased it was when they got me to Hammond organ at the time, and I got into it so quickly, and he started coming to our early rehearsals. I mean, that was like, he was so excited.
Oh.
I mean, he just lived incredibly vicariously through me. You know, it was like he didn't miss a rehearsal, he didn't miss a show in the early days. So no, he was.
That's so cool. It's so great to have that kind of support, that kind of foundation, that kind of motivation from parents when they are.
Without a doubt. He was my number one fan.
Fantastic. And he was able to see your success. How cool. I mean, to see you on Ed Sullivan, it gets no bigger than that.
Yeah, it was very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's a neat moment too. Yeah, can you imagine, seeing your son on Ed Sullivan make it? And they were kids too. Here they are. Get it out of my way here. Young guys doing the Ed Sullivan Show. And he showed that marquee, which was really kind of cool to me, is Buddy Greco was on that show. And, of course, if you know me at all, you know that I was Buddy Greco's conductor for a couple of years. And Buddy was a big, another mentor of mine and teacher of mine. And it was, working with Buddy was really special. I'll never forget working with Buddy, and I miss him. He lived over in Thousand Oaks, and we would get together. He would come over here, and I would go over there and made music together. So, well, I think we've covered a lot of Mark Stein now in two Jammin' Java nights. I hope we've paid him due respect because, as I said so many times tonight, and I continue to say, Mark Stein, Felix Cavalier, and then Jimmy Smith are my three biggest Hammond organ influences. Now, there are other great Hammond organ players out there. Keith Emerson was the one that we talked about. Booker T. Jones, Brian Auger, Joey DeFrancesco. There's so many great, talented guys, but those three guys were probably the most inspirational for me. I'm trying to look what I've got the little closeout clip. We're going to put this in, and then I'll come back and we'll wrap things up a little bit. So this is kind of the final, video close, the interview close with Mark. Mark Stein, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Sincerely, sincerely, I am so honored, so pleased to have you on Jammin' Java tonight.
Well, look, man, I really appreciate all the support, and you're a great friend, and you're a terrific keyboard player, arranger, and conductor yourself. People got to know that. You know, when Rocky Valley and the Four Seasons are near your town, once this thing is over, you got to go and see it. I'm not just trying to pat this guy in the back, but this is a fantastic show. And when I saw it, I was just blown away. You can't stop singing with the crowd. The crowd is always sold out. And everybody's so joyful from it. So you're doing a fabulous thing, my man, without a doubt.
Thank you so much, my friend. And having you as a friend, and I've told this to so many people, and I'll tell you directly, when your heroes become your friends, there's a surreal kind of a thing going on. But indeed, that's what's happened. And so I'm honored to have you as a friend. And you always will be a hero of mine.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, had a nice time to kind of have Mark Stein, because I've been wanting to have Mark Stein night for a while now. And so we ended up with two nights. Talented guy, no question about it. Go back and check out some of their music. He's influenced me a lot, and I've said this about him. I say it about Felix Cavalieri too. In every note that I play, you're going to hear some Mark Stein. So he's part of my my music. And we're going to close it out with a song from church, At the Cross of Christ, as we head towards Holy Week, Palm Sunday, this coming Sunday. Check us out on Trinity Lutheran Church. You can watch us on Facebook or YouTube. And I need to put a logo up here of the Trinity Lutheran website, but it's easy to find. I mean, Trinity Lutheran Church, Simi Valley. And next Monday, we'll be back here, Jammin' Java, 7 to 9, California time. And then we'll be back, of course, 4 o'clock California time, 4 to 5. Oh, Pastor Robert Barker. Yes, Pastor Robert Lyon Barker watching. Okay, and he's a great preacher. And we have some great music. Well, I hope you'll see it here in a minute. So we'll see you next Monday. God's big blessings to each and every one of you. Holy Week next week, the road to Easter. All right, here we go. Good night to all at the Cross of Christ. Trinity Lutheran Praise Team, featuring Andrea Hammond, featuring Olivia Lyon Barker, and featuring Eddie Hedges. Oh, and Carla tells me here, reach up, reach in, reach out. That Yes, that's our motto. And Pastor, look at you. There we go. So if you want to see our church service, here's how you go. Trinity Lutheran Church, CME.com. That's easy. Trinity Lutheran Church, CME.com. Or you can go on Facebook and search, or YouTube and search. So there you have it. So good night, all. See you next Monday.
At the cross of Christ, we can find salvation. At the cross of Christ, we are set free. There he won the victory, crucified for you and me, rose again for all to see. The cross of our Lord.